Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, good afternoon class. How are you today? Okay, good. I'm fine too. Thanks for asking. Are you ready to study now? That's good. But before we're going to start our lesson, let's say Basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And now let me check your attendance. Who's absent today? No one's missing, right? That's great. Okay, class, it's time to start our lesson now. I'll show you a PowerPoint. Today we're gonna learn about talking about self. Okay, now look at the PowerPoint. In this lesson, we're going to talk about the definition of talking about self, the purpose or social function, the generic structure, and also the language feature of talking about self. Let's move to the next slide. We have the definition of talking about self. You can see this, that the definition of talking about self is the action of talking about self or the action of introducing yourself to someone or a group of people by talking about your personal details. So this kind of text can be found in dialogue and also later and the other text. In talking about self, you need to mention. Okay, so this, as you can see in the next slide, things you can say about yourself. You can mention your name, your age, your address, your family, school name, and favorites. For the example, like, hello, my name is Anisa Jannatin. I am 20 years old. I live in Bogor. I have one brother and one sister, and I'm a student of Indraprastha University, and I like reading because it makes me happy. Okay, in the next slide, you can see the expression to introduce yourself in formal or in informal situation. Okay, next slide, we have the purpose or social function of talking about self. Is used to make people know about self-identity. It can be done both spoken or written. Next, we have generic structure of talking about self. That is opening, like you have to greet the interlocutors or listeners, and then content. You can introduce yourself, and then closing, and the self-introduction by thanking the interlocutors. The next slide, the language feature of talking about self. The first one, you have to use simple present tense for general facts about your life and routines. And then you can use simple past tense for finished action in the past time period, like last year, in 2020, I think, etc. And you can use present perfect when you talk about your life experiences and achievements. And the last is you have to use pronouns for self-introduction in order to prevent unimportant repetition. Okay, class, if you're still confused about these materials, you can ask me a question. So, do you have any questions? Okay, I think you understand well. Now, I'll explain about the summary of this lesson. Listen it carefully. Okay. Talking about self is explain who you are, what you do, and what others need to know about you. and the purpose is help people to know more about you. And the generic structure are opening, content, and then closing. And the language features is use simple present, use present perfect, and past perfect, and then okay, yes, pronouns. Okay guys, do you enjoy this lesson today? That's great, Alhamdulillah. Okay, so that's all our discussion today. In the end of this lesson, hopefully you can learn more about talking about self, and you can do more practice at your home. I think enough for today. Before we end our lesson today, let's say Hamdalah together. Alhamdulillah. Okay, I think enough. Thank you so much for your good attentions. Goodbye and see you later. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.